presented just now. I wholeheartedly welcome all of you to this webinar on the mastering the art of leadership. Now, this is the second in the series of this leadership webinar, and I am Karan Kumar. I work with Regal Unlimited. Regal Unlimited is a boutique firm into coach training, ICF approved, and one-to-one coaching, executive and leadership coaching, and also into healing. This particular webinar is actually for a program which we run, Leader as Coaches, in which we are, kind of equipping the leaders, senior and middle level leaders, into the coaching skills and the coaching competencies. So I'll be running through this presentation today. Today's masterclass is more so on the not so supportive teams. So the previous one, which we had done, I think a week back, was on how to manage not so supportive bosses. Subhash had given his insights on that. Today, we'll be focusing on how to manage not so supportive teams. So I'll share my screen and let me know if the screen is present and are you able to see the screen? Yeah, okay, great. So once again, I wholeheartedly welcome all of you to this masterclass, and I trust and hope that you derive the maximum value from this masterclass. So today's session is actually, segmented into 4 parts. First of all, I would do a quick recap of the previous masterclass. Then we would, probably go on to delve deep on unsupportive teams. That's an enigma which we'll be fighting today. The third part would be how can we truly use the coaching competencies and embed them to, amongst our leadership to navigate these unsupportive teams. And then we'll be having a Q&A with Subhash. Subhash is a MCC Master Certified Coach, founder of Regal Unlimited, having over 2 decades of leadership experience, all in P&L responsibility, an ex-banker, and after which he pivoted to becoming a full-fledged professional coach. He is a leadership and executive coach with over 10 years of experience in handling various senior executives and leaders. So we will be definitely benefiting a lot from his practical insights, experiences, and stories. So stay on till the end. Now, going to the quick recap of the previous masterclass, we had actually touched upon a research which was done by Daniel Goleman, the pioneer in emotional intelligence, who actually categorized the leadership style into these 6 leadership styles based on emotions. And he went on to say that among these 6 leadership styles, coaching leadership style is least practiced and highly misunderstood. So we are here to unravel that power of coaching style of leadership. Now, in that previous webinar, a masterclass as well, we had mentioned that you need to probably master at least 3 or 4 of these leadership styles. So our program, Leader as Coach, is actually envisioned in a way to kind of, brush upon all of these 6 styles of leadership. And it is also aimed to kind of hyper focus on developing the muscle, the coaching muscle, which you can use as part of your leadership. So understanding is that styles like affiliative or democratic or even commanding leadership style, somehow every leader has them because of the upbringing, because of the atmosphere they are in, or because of the corporate exposure. But coaching style of leadership is, as Daniel Goleman said, it's least practiced, okay, and highly misunderstood. So this program is hyper focused on coaching style of leadership. At the same time, it attempts to kind of strengthen all these 6 leadership styles. Then we went on in the previous masterclass to talk about not so supportive bosses. So this is the first strategy which we used there, and we suggested all of you was the quit stay quadrant, in which we requested you to take some time, draw a pie chart of this sort, and then divide it into 8 quadrants, and then probably list each of this as to what is the attribute of your job that is impacting you. So it could be the sales target, the personal health, professional growth, the status that comes along with the job, the office building, the relationships, so on and so forth. After you have listed down those 6 or 8 attributes that the job directly offers you, then we requested you to probably reflect and highlight which of these 8 or 6 slices are directly impacted by your boss, who at time can be not so supportive. So then in our analysis, we found out that usually what happens is usually 2 or 3 out of 8 slices are directly impacted by boss. And then we, kind of invited you to reflect upon this question, that is it justifiable to let go of your job because of a boss whose impact is only 2 or 3 slices out of 8 or 6 or 10 slices? That's a question we left you with in this particular strategy, quit, stay, quadrant strategy. The next strategy which we spoke about was, does your boss's boss, your super boss to say, actually know you? And Subhash went on to explain that not only the boss's boss should know you, even the boss's peers should know you. So we give, too much focus on external marketing through LinkedIn and other platforms, but how much importance do we truly give to internal marketing within our own vertical, or maybe across divisions or across functions within the same organization? Second strategy to combat, I would say, not so supportive bosses was quit, stay, quadrant strategy. Now, the second one was your boss's boss knows you or not. The third one was the flip the coin strategy, in which we invited you to look at it from the boss's perspective as well, as to why, from where that not so supportive nature coming from. And if we delve deep, that's where the coaching comes into picture. If we delve deep, we would find that there is something which is not sitting well. And we actually invited you because we said in the previous web masterclass that it's so easy to quit and leave the company and go away. We invited you to consider, can you truly give the relationship between your boss and yourself a second chance? That was a quick recap of the previous masterclass on 6 leadership styles and how to engage with a not so supportive boss. Coming to today's terms, so as the third strategy was, flip the coin, we truly believe that we are on the side of leadership. So while everybody is grumbling, every employee is grumbling about, my boss is not good, is not supportive, we thought, let us hear from the leaders' mouth, to so to say. And we realized that leaders also complain that we do not have not so supportive teams. So today's masterclass is designed across this particular theme of how can a leader use coaching competencies or use coaching skills or leadership skills in engaging with not so supportive teams. So it is very common because in today's world where teams are of paramount importance, no leader can be successful without having a successful team or without leading a successful team. And we truly believe at Regal Unlimited that the future of leadership is coaching. So I thank all of the leaders who are attending today, and who've taken out the time, precious time from the schedule to attend this, because you are truly sitting here to future proof your leadership. So let us get ahead and see how can leaders truly navigate a not so supportive teams. If you have any questions in between, feel free to use the chat box or the Q&A box and chime in and I invite all of you, probably put your questions there. Subhash will definitely take it after 10 or 15 minutes or so. Okay, so let us go ahead. How can a leader, navigate the not so supportive teams? So here is my first invitation. Now, this is a research done, very old, but very, very relevant research taught in every B school possible about how teams truly get formed. So, this is our strategy number one. We realized that on the x-axis, if you put time and you get a team together, actually the team's effectiveness is not a linear graph. The first stage is called the forming stage, in which there's an orientation. People are coming, the team is just forming, getting to know of each other. And, everybody is trying to critically evaluate, what does the team give me? What can I contribute in the team? Will I fit in the team? So to be honest, every interaction is actually in a very cautious zone. Everybody is sort of, if I can say, wearing a mask. They're trying to get to know each other. The interaction is happening, but the team is beginning to form in the initial stages, and they're actually wearing a mask, trying to gauge whether do I truly fit in the team or not. Now, as the time progresses, the second stage kicks in. And this is a critical stage. The stage is called storming. And that is so because in this stage, truly a storm comes in the team. Slowly, the mask begins to wear off. The realities, the real attitudes, the real behavior, the real value systems begins to surface. People at this stage start to contest the authority. They start to take positions. So things begin to take not so not so good shape, because a storm is truly brewing. But this stage is very, very critical, because after the reality is gauged, evaluated, and reality is established in this stage, the next stage begins, which is norming, in which the new norms begin to come into place. The team begins to circle around the new rules, circle around the new goals, the new vision. And that is the third stage, which finally catapults to performing stage, in which all the differences are shed away, and the entire team is towards a collective goal. They are performing, they are working tirelessly, finally leading to adjourning. Now, why am I telling you this, you might wonder? The reason of this is, let's say you are complaining about not so supportive bosses. Now, the point to note is, first you need to see in your team where you are as a team on this curve. If you are at a forming or a storming stage, then it is very, very natural to not get the support. It is the simple psychology of the team, because they are already contesting each other, debating, conflicts are arising. So if you are taking a decision thinking my team is not supportive, and you have not given adequate time, you are still at forming and storming stage. It is but natural to face the resistance. So the strategy number one is to identify at which spot on the curve you truly are, and then take a decision. Even in the previous masterclass, we went on to say that quitting is always an option. In this case, escalating the issue to the super boss or to the manager is always an option about the team. But we want, as a coaching competency, we want to invite you to consider what can we do differently. So this is the strategy number one. You spot where you are in this curve. If you are still facing the resistance, still you feel that you are facing the resistance from the team, then here comes the second strategy, for which I truly invite Subhash to come on board and take us through. If still you are not in the storming or forming stage, if you are still facing the resistance, how would you take and handle this using coaching? Subhash, all over to you.
So Karan, can you hear me? There is a mild, is audio okay? So I want to take a pause here and also take if there are any questions on what Karan has covered in last 10 odd minutes. Any question? Yeah, for 14 minutes. Any question, comment before we shift gears?
You can raise your hand or put it in the chat box as well. If you want.
Chat box would be good. So again, once again, the cost of repetition, I want to again congratulate all the leaders here who have chosen to be here. There could have been 10 other things that we could have done the prime time, 8 to 9 in their time. And I hope there are some of you who are logging in from overseas also. So we did look at that one big constraint that Karan ran through as part of setting the context. If you're not part of the earlier session, that maybe Karan, if you could please share that link in the chat, I would invite you to look at that. Also, then then this conversation also would kind of fall in place and make perhaps a little more sense. Though it is not linear, just as coaching is never linear. So coming back to this, it's about having a conversation. And that's where the coaching skill is such a fascinating tool to engage in a conversation. Because it's a conversation between two equals. So where we use the example of adult to adult conversation as propagated in transaction analysis. It's not a parent-child, child-parent ego states. It's the conversation between two equals. So Karan, while introducing me, mentioned that I'm a master certified coach. So what we learn at a mastery level or aspiring to be at the mastery level, it's a lifelong journey to mastery, is can you take your coaching conversation like a conversation with your best friend, but in a structured way. So you're still having the conversation with your best friend, no holds barred, there's nothing to hold. You trust unconditionally. You also know that you're not judged. But at the same time, can you have a conversation between two equals? And that perhaps is the toughest thing to do with all our beliefs, biases, and mental maps, right? So having a deep conversation, having a conversation which is very useful. It's not a deep coffee table conversation. How do you do that? There are communication coaching competencies. It's primarily under three categories. One of them is listens actively. Earlier, it used to be active listening, but now it has been modified to listens actively. It's an ongoing process. The other two being, powerful questioning and also evoking awareness. So powerful questioning and evoking awareness has been combined into one competency now. Why I'm giving now ICF coaching competency is that there is a solid structure behind this whole thing. It's not something that we have discovered. No, we are riding on the fantastic method that ICF has got. So, but listens actively is what we have chosen here because that is a starting point. When we train coaches to become professional coaches like me, on the first day, on the first session, we say there are two things that you're going to struggle with. One is listening. We all think we are good listeners, but once you get into this journey, you realize how important listening is. So that's why it is easier said than done. There are 4 levels of listening that we cover as part of the program, both for leader as coach LAC programs as well as for coach training for ICF. Yeah. Again, the client brings in a topic for discussion. We encourage the coaches or the leaders to go, what is one level below? It's like you go to a doctor with a symptom. It could be headache, stomach pain. A normal doctor would just prescribe medicine for it, but a good doctor would go one step beyond. What is the root cause? And all consultants, all great leaders are expected to go to the root cause. So it can happen only if there is genuine curiosity about the possibility of something below. It's not a leader's requirement that I need to figure out what is beneath me, right? And it is an antidote to resistance. Once you get into this habit of looking at what is beneath and with all curiosity, you'll see the shift in the consciousness of the conversation. The conversation would elevate. And again, as I always say, this is not just about work. This is just not about managing a team or an organization. It's in every conversation that you can try this out. Just try listening to your partner, your spouse, your kids, or your colleagues, or anyone that you come across in the lift, for example. You'll see how much empowering it can be for the other person. Yeah, every conflicts are sometimes bad, but a lot of corporate conflicts are good, right? A lot of great things can come out of conflicts if it is handled well. What is the magic pill for that? It's never about people. Always bring the focus of the conflict into what is causing the conflict. What is the problem? What is the topic? Pick up the topic. Keep the people out of it. Don't get personal into it from our side, and don't allow others to get into it personally. It's a credibility that we build over time. It's not something that you can just, I can't get up tomorrow morning and say that I'm going to keep all my biases away, but the team will not accept that. So it's very important that can we start looking at the issue in a selfish way, in a dispassionate way. Yeah, I mean, it's a very well articulated clip. Now, this might be a project that some of you are familiar, but still, a lot of things that we say here are nothing is discovered pulled from the thin air. It is all there. So, and it would be a good refresher for you to reflect on Project Oxygen that Google was done. First of all, even when Karan and me were discussing, Karan pointed out this Project Oxygen. There is a video of Sadhguru Jaki was there who says, you can live without sleep, you can live without food, you can live without water, but can you live without air? Can you try holding your breath, and you'll say how little, how much you depend on what is easily available, the oxygen, right? So Google as part of this project, and Google, some of us are aware, the founders were coached by somebody who's called a $1 trillion coach in Silicon Valley. Yeah, Bill Campbell was their coach, the founder's coach. Also, there is a great popular video, Eric Schmidt saying that the board recommended to him when he took over as CEO at Google, saying that you should hire a coach. It's a beautiful short video, 1 minute 36 seconds. So Google had this foundation of team, but when you can't today take any success for granted. So as they were looking at what makes good team click, they interviewed 10,000 plus employees, and they came up with this number one reason being all good managers were good coaches. Coaching was integral to the leadership style. So they then try to replicate that, across the next level of leaderships. And that is something that's an ongoing project at Google. So, only teams help us achieve great things. This man needs no introduction. Yeah. Something that is, there are a lot of things, management thoughts that Jeff Bezos is credited to, just like Steve Jobs. Now, what is said about him is that they have a thumb rule in Amazon, I'm told, that when you're exploring, when you're looking at all the pros and cons, you disagree, you fight, do everything. But once you decide, commit 100%. Totally commit. But then that's a one team, right? It may be a wrong decision. It may not be a majority, but still, can you commit unconditionally to that decision? That is what Amazon culture is, DNA. That's what makes them successful also. Yeah. The three options that we have when we manage teams. Again, those of us who are managing teams, small, big, a question for you is that among these three, what resonates to you well, right? What is it that can work with you? And what would you go ahead and try it out? Can you commit to the cause, the number three? There's something that, that fascinates me, the third one. Yeah. So, I always love to give examples. A small example is that in one of the later stages of my career, when I was heading, car finance, I come from an MBA marketing. I've handled sales and marketing right throughout for 15 years. Then I moved, and my last boss was somebody who comes from an accounts background. So, Ogilvy was our brand agency for everything, right? So we would discuss what should be the auto finance campaign, show him. Typically I would shortlist 1 or 2, maximum 3 ideas and go to him for final approval. Usually my third option would be his first option. And it always surprised me, why is it so? So, I would kind of disagree and say, no, this is what, because I also come from perhaps the misplaced sense of comfort that I knew marketing, I studied marketing. But, boss is a boss. But what he would, the quality that I saw in him was that he would pick up even my slightest resistance, and he would say that, let us sleep over this and let us decide tomorrow morning. More often he goes by what he thinks right. But I would have found peace with that choice by the next morning. I'm just giving a practical example. We dominated that market, right? I'm saying specifically we. I got a lot of undue credit for that, but the bosses and my teams, last team, we dominated that market. So what I am saying that is, disagree and commit is something that resonated with me, and I always look back with gratitude of a good boss. Yeah. Any question, comment? It's been almost 1 week. Any questions, Karan? Anything in the chat?
Nothing so far, but we'll be actively waiting for the comments or chat. Any suggestions, any reflections?
Even alternate point of view. Yeah.
Even alternate point of view. PK
Yeah.
has raised hand, so probably I will try to make him. Just give me a minute, PK.
Yeah.
Yeah, PK, you can talk. You can unmute him. Yeah.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, PK.
Okay. I just noticed the chat is disabled, so we are not able to put in any chat.
Okay, you can probably use the Q&A box. All of you, I request all of you, if you can use the Q&A box to put in your query. But anything, please, PK, if anything to share, please go ahead.
No, I feel this disagree but commit is a very, very key aspect of any performing team.
So, I mean, when we were doing research as well, we realized that, see, Amazon is a melting pot of ideas. It seems every week you have a new idea being worked upon. Now, when a team comes up, so they are brainstorming, 100 ideas come. Somebody whose ideas is not taken in that, these guys used to feel like, why am I here types. That's when Jeff Bezos communicated this. Till we decide, we'll fight, we'll conflict, we'll disagree. But once it's decided, you need to commit as if it was your own idea. That's a changing, like that's a life altering kind of a mantra. You need to commit, but commit as if it was your own idea. And we have seen from where to where, from a bookstore to where Amazon has gone. Right? So this is what, if you're dealing with a not so supportive team, team leader might try to communicate this particular aspect. Yeah, thank you, PK. Anybody else want to share? Let me know. We can move ahead as well. Subhash?
Yeah. So, the invitation is also to look at teams around. For example, most of us are avid followers of cricket. The way the cricket team has managed badminton, for example, they have a great coach, and something the team has been doing very well. Some of the other games also, there's a lot of leadership. There are a lot of underlying things that you can pick up and learn. And also, of course, politics is a fascinating space if you can be dispassionate and look at it neutrally. So yeah, so coming from somebody like Steve Jobs, it's I always have this quote: the African proverb, "It takes a village to educate a child." I kind of paraphrase saying that it takes an entire ecosystem to succeed in any field. So we talk about all those child prodigies to great talent like Sachin Tendulkar to Virat Kohli, but there is an entire ecosystem that has helped. Even Bumrah, for example, right? One of the best bowlers that modern day cricket has seen. It's never, even an individual sport or individual success story, there's an entire ecosystem. Why I'm saying this is, a lot of times we take, the ego takes over at a very unconscious level, saying that I worked hard, I did everything. There is enough research to say that even luck plays a big factor. Luck plays a very big factor. And this I'm saying from my 30 years of, I have been lucky when I've had some mind-boggling successes, apart from support from others. And I've also seen a lot of other success stories where if you go one level deeper, there's a lot of element of luck. I'm not trying to promote the superstition that depend on the luck, but luck comes to the hardworking. That also I believe. Yeah.
Subhash, there is a question by Mani Session, who is telling that disagree but commit actually can have both perspective for the boss and for the team. Is it for both?
It is for both. So great question. Now, for me, I'm wearing the hat of a team coach, not as a team leader. Because for me, Karan and me, we keep sharing this leadership. The future of leadership is coaching. Similarly, the future of team is also team coaching. The reason I'm saying is, in a conversation, when we do team coaching with a team, everyone is equal. The person who walks into that room as a team leader or CEO or whatever is that the position that the role gives him or her, that is just left outside the door. It becomes equal. So the best idea of a team can come from somebody who's not the person who's having the authority as the boss or the team leader. It could be the youngest member also. And that's where we can tap into the potential of the team. Yeah, so should be from anyone, ideally. But a lot of times, the boss's point of view gets preference, and which is not usually always the best option also. Many times he or she may be true, but no. So, no, I am saying that is, those of you who are managing teams, when you're doing this brainstorming or thinking about a strategy, or if there is conflict, this disagreement, it's okay. But then see what is the best idea for the organization, for the team, not for individuals. Another classical example is that when when as business heads, when you're sitting on in a strategy meet, the finance person pulls in that direction, the IT person pulls in another direction, right? The sales in another direction. It doesn't help. That's where the disagreements will come. But then we have to keep the organization goal, team goal. And also, I'll go one step further. Thanks for that question, Mani. So it's also in a team coaching situation, right, which every leader should practice, and it's part of the discussion or conversation. There's a lot of importance given to the team agreement. There's a lot of importance given to the team, what you call the team energy. That's why we have discussed this. PK was part of that conversation. In a team conversation, in a team coaching scenario, the team coach is working with the energy of the field. The team coach is not working with the individuals or the team or the boss for sure, but it's the energy. So as a leader, as a coach, is about building that capability to tap into that energy, working with that energy in an ongoing basis, and then deliver things as a team. And this is a fascinating quote by Steve Jobs, right? You have to tap into the collective consciousness, collective wisdom of the team. Mani, just add the extra long answer for a short question. I'm assuming that I try to respond. Let me know if there is any follow-up.
Yeah, so Mani has a point. The quote, "The boss is always right." Does it make it all the more difficult for team to question the idea? It's a very powerful question.
Very good point. So, that's why that Karan's first slide, I think, 6 styles of leadership. We always, our generation, at least my generation, we knew this is our style of leadership. Maybe my parents' generation, their father's generation, there was just command and control. In our case, we are a little more aware about command and control and a couple of more. But what we are saying now is we need all styles of leadership. That's number one answer. The second answer to that is it's never about my ego as a team leader or it's my hubris, right? Extreme ego that I am the all-powerful one. So, I'm going back to that adult-to-adult conversation in a one-to-one engagement or one-to-one conversation or one-to-one coaching. That also has to extrapolate into a team situation. So when the boss comes into that room, the boss should be able to create that space that here we are discussing as equals. It's a responsibility of the leader. Of course, the larger organization culture also would kind of have an impact on it. I've seen a lot of leaders speaking about, I am forced to keep an open door policy, though I don't like the disturbance coming from outside. But open door policy, you can close the door, but if somebody can still knock and come in, that is good enough. Yeah, so the leader has to provide that space where there is an opportunity to come and talk. There is no dilution of power, there is no dilution of authority, but there is no excessive need to depend on that power. That's why Robin Sharma says, "Lead without title." Simon Sinek speaks about the same thing. So, boss is always right belongs to perhaps my generation or an early generation. It's definitely not right now. Yeah.
So Dhirendra has a thought to share. He's telling a leader should always ask what can be done about the problem instead of telling what to do. And mostly leaders are assumed to tell what to do. So we should be understanding the difference between telling versus asking. And his thought is asking always helps as well as builds trust and shares accountability.
Yeah. Very well put. I don't even have anything to add. Very well said. Thank you for that, Dhiren.
So, yeah, PK is also adding there, trust plays a very significant part in disagree and commit. That psychology, you need to have the psychological safety to disagree at the same time commit. So, I'm again talking from a external point of view. Like when I was in a previous organization, I think if we demonstrate once, if the boss or the leader, those who are suffering from not so supportive teams, as a team lead, if you can demonstrate once, disagree and commit, I'm sure the rest will be taken off. From then on, the next meeting or the next session, the team will not be the same, because once they see the leader personifying that, the half the battle is won. The resistance is won, to be honest. Yeah. So let us move ahead. Subhash, you want to take it? Or, yeah, okay,
Yes.
cool. Okay, good. So let us go back to the previous, first master class, where we had done a survey from the leaders and we found out these 4 leadership blues. We could discuss the first one, and due to lack of time, we promised. Subhash reminded me, we have promised them we should give them. So we promised that we would probably take up the next one. The second, I am not able to meet my business goals and my performance is taking a dip. That particular leadership blue, we'll be discussing in through this next maybe 10 minutes or so. So Subhash, it's all to you. Yeah, please.
Yeah. So, ultimately, we have this leader as an acronym where we go from R to L as part of this curriculum, as part of this leader as a coach program. And those of you who have downloaded our videos and lessons, you would have seen that already. So the R, we start with R because that's about results. So, one of the first lesson I also learned in business school that has stayed on with me is managers are judged by results. Those days, I think the word manager was more prominent. Today, it's leader has taken over that space. So, I even saw a quote today in LinkedIn saying that people don't leave managers, people leave leaders. Right? Yeah, that's a reality. So, leader, the great resignation to high turnover, the leaders are responsible. So you can't achieve the goal if you cannot see them. So there's a lot of importance that is given to setting the process of setting the goal, whether it is top down. A lot of goal setting, that is the reality. A lot of goal setting is still top down. Now, is that the right? Is that the wrong? It depends on the organization. And so there is no, you don't have a choice if in your organization it's top down and you keep complaining about it. The leader has a responsibility to still set audacious goal. We pick this up from Jim Collins' Good to Great. He talks about big, hairy, audacious goal. And the leaders are in that position of responsibility, not power, to challenge yourself. And challenging the client is integral part of coaching. Coaching at a senior level or a master level is about, can you also challenge the client? Can you also create a trust between the client where you can challenge them? Otherwise, our brains are very comfortable to play safe. So it's very important. SMART, we all are familiar. It has to be specific, measurable, right? But R is not relevant. R is not realistic. What we use in coaching and leader as a coach is something that is relevant. So Regal Unlimited as a company, we are into leadership development, all related to coaching and a little bit on healing, right? Even that healing approach is very closely linked to coaching. So we do everything related to coaching. So any new initiative that we want to do, we always look at, is it the core of our DNA? Otherwise, we don't do. We don't want to compete with a consultant, OD consultants, or all those experts who are there in the HR space. The third one is, are we communicating? No, a leader's main job is to communicate effectively, and it is not about talking, because in coaching we learn communication is 80% listening, 20% talking. We start at 80-20. And as we gain practice and as we move from the first level to second level to third level, we try to constantly improve that 80-20. But 80-20 is the mantra that we live by. And 80-20 works, Pareto's principle works perhaps literally on every other field. So are we communicating the goal? Is the leader walking the vision? Is the leader walking the passion towards the goal? And that's something that the leader has to do day in and day out. Otherwise, the leader is not leading. The leader is there just by virtue of the position. The last one is very important, right? This James Sinclair in his popular book, Atomic Habits, speaks about goals are not important. The process is important. I beg to disagree. right? With all humility. For me, it is goal and the process. And the process is just not sticking to the process, it's also about communicating. It's also linking to the larger purpose. Today, a lot of great resignation in the Western market is linked to the employees, their inability to connect with the purpose of the organization, especially the generation millennials, right? They will leave. They will take risks, right? So are we communicating the efforts also? The more we focus on the efforts and the process and the passion and the purpose, and it is still linked to the goal, it is about closing the loop. This all cannot be on standalone. Is it too much to manage? Yes. Leadership is, PK keeps reminding us only 2% of adult population is into leadership, which means the rest of the 98% are either followers or aspiring leaders. So if 2% of leaders are going to lead, it's not easy. But then, all these things makes it very easy. Now, this again takes us to a totally counterintuitive approach, which is very close to our way of working. It's also to step back and ask what is in my control. So today, if you have a toxic environment, you have a toxic boss, don't quit. That is the easiest thing to do. Karan was reminding from the previous session. It's good to step back and ask what is in my control, what can I do? And also empathy. Can I put myself in the shoe of my boss? And that's a basic definition of empathy. But in coaching, we speak about emotional intelligence. It's just not a tactical empathy. It's about intelligence. It's much deeper than just a tactical empathy. So the more we are aware of my emotions, the more I'm aware of others' emotions, and I'm using it to work together as a team or one-to-one, and then operating from awareness that what is that I can manage, what is that I can control. Now the same diagram that Karan showed early from the last session. Out of 8 parameters, only 2 are impacting the leader. Do you want to quit? Similarly, if you can focus on what is in your control, half the stress is avoided. Talking about stress, I saw last evening Bruce Lipton, who's written a masterpiece, Biology of Belief, a doctor who has moved into the metaphysical space of therapy and healing. He says the root cause of all health issues, not all, most of the health issues is stress. The root cause of most of the health issues is stress. We stress on things that we cannot control. The moment we step back and ask ourselves, what is it that in my control? And for me, this image and this particular point could be one thing that all of us should take away from today's session. The moment we are aware of what is it that I have in my control and I'm going to operate from that awareness, I'm introducing another word which is very integral to leader as a coach, which is awareness, which is self-awareness. Yeah. Now, so why I bring in self-awareness is much deeper. Is that leader as a coach has a responsibility to take the team into deeper self-awareness. Every team typically is action-oriented, goal-oriented. They just want to jump in and get into action. Now we had a team coaching session on Tuesday for the advanced coaching training. So just to set the context, we broke them into breakout rooms and gave a small topic, very simple topic. Coaches like me, right, including me, they just jumped into the action. What we need to do to achieve that goal. Team coaching is for setting the agreement, setting the context, what we want to achieve, what we want to do. It doesn't take time. What does all this lead to? This entire conversation that we're talking about, it can also lead to better self-awareness, better productivity, lower the risk of stress and all the collateral damages that it can create. The whole entire lifestyle diseases that we can speak of, a lot of it comes from stress there. The experts are discovering now. Yeah, next slide. Any comment you can interrupt? Huh?
Yeah. So Mani has a beautiful thought to share. He's telling that another quote that is being heard is that the goals are important, but the habits that are required to achieve them are even more crucial.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Atomic Habit by James Sinclair, Charles Duhigg's The Power of Habit, all these promote that. Even I think there are quotations attributed to Aristotle. Right? Even he said that it's all about habits. I don't remember the quote, but yeah, it's habit for me. Again, I'll give a quick example. I'm working with a CEO of a very large successful startup. He's had multiple exits in the past, going very well. Great story. I had a conversation last evening around same time, 7:30, 7:30, 8:30, same time. So one struggle that he brought up was that the distraction. He doesn't procrastinate. He's super productive. No, his IQ must be very high, right? I mean, I've seen what people achieve in 1 hour. He can achieve that, right? Super IQ, but he says I get distracted. Yeah, and it's just the and what when I just explore a little deeper, it's just the habit. It is just a victim of some small atomic bad habits, right? It doesn't help. Why I'm saying this is a super successful person like him is struggling with it, and he's feeling guilty about it, which is still worse than being being not so productive or making that mistake or getting distracted. It is more dangerous to carry the stress of that guilt. Yeah. So can't agree more. Habit is most important. So any training, any self-development exercise that we're doing, one pulse that we can always look at is what new habits I'm developing. What I'm with all. I mean, some of you here are friends, so I know I'll not be judged, and I can be very open about myself. Last couple of days, I've just picked up some instrumental music. And I'm just aware that instead of listening to the current affairs or a podcast or anything else in the finance market, but I'm just getting attracted to the soft instrumental music, some of those Indian instrumental music. So I'm curious, what is it that is attracting me towards that, right? Otherwise, I'm listening to a lot of other stuff also while they don't talk. So why I'm saying this is that is self-awareness. That is a muscle that we all need to develop. We are often not self-aware, but it helps to build that muscle, to be more self-aware. That's what makes us a great leader. That's what makes us super productive. So wearing the sales hat, the conversation is incomplete without this slide. So a new cohort starts on 21st August, Sunday. All leaders are busy on weekdays, so we are doing this on Sunday, 5 consecutive Sundays, and 5 into 4 hours, 20 hours of training. This doesn't make you 20 hours of coaching concepts, a lot of practice and mentoring. Regal at 60 is again this client whom I spoke of yesterday. He wants to revisit his life purpose. So we had done an exercise in the past. He said that is that's what perhaps he's not got it. Laser focus, he wants to revisit. So we help the leaders connect with that. What is the life purpose through this phenomenal exercise, Regal at 60? We speak out concepts like Jim Collins' level 5 leadership to servant leadership and other concepts, all with practical examples, real life examples, a lot of interactive discussions. And there's one-to-one personal mentoring session with the trainers. So this is at the helicopter level, 10,000 square feet view of this journey to become a leader as a coach. Regal Unlimited has been into coach training for last 8+ years. We'll complete 10 years this December, but 8 years in coach training. We have trained 300+ ICF coaches, and we have one of the best track record. Every coach who has gone through our program has cleared the ICF test. Data that we are very proud of, and very grateful to the divine. 1,000+ leaders have been touched through coaching, coach training, workshops, and a lot of other interventions. 50+ organizations. We are into a very niche space. So even over the last 10 years, we have touched around 50, including some Fortune 100 companies. So thank you again. I can see every one of you have stayed on. Means a lot to us. we are in the, we are going around with the vision to spread pure and classical coaching in different ways. Leader as a coach is one such initiative. There are other things also that we do. You'll find them on all our social media website. We are all over the place. Yeah, so please connect us on social media. Those of you who are ready to join, get into this space. It's a fascinating journey. I spent 21 years in the corporate, then moved into coaching, 10th year as a coach. I can say from my, every time you touch lives, it's fascinating. And we need a lot of coaches in the corporate space, business space. That's why we have gone ahead with this concept of leader as a coach. We have launched successful programs, open and in-house programs. We are talking to a few big corporates right now as we speak for some in-house programs. So the industry is aware of the power of coaching for leaders. It is going beyond just the C-suite leaders. It's trickling down, right? So hope to see some of you. Feel free to connect with us if you have any questions.
I have shared, Subhash, the link, the Calendly link, in case any of you feel that you want to gain more clarity on the program, the curriculum, and the like. You want to have one-on-one conversation with Subhash or myself. You can use this link on the chat box to schedule a call, discovery call with us, and hope to see you. All of you, almost whoever is willing to, for the next program, which is starting on 21st August. Okay. Should I also put the link for the previous master class?
Yes, please. Yeah. And I mean, if it was somebody has a doubt, the program fee is 50,000, including GST, and it's all online.
Just give me a minute. I'm getting that particular link for the. Maybe. Yeah, I am pasting the link right away. Those of you who have not seen the previous master class on how to handle not so supportive bosses, please give it a view. I am sure you will find tons of valuable insights for yourself, for your professional as well as personal growth. Okay, thank you. Hope to see.
And last point also, coaching is a deeply reflective journey. Leader as a coach also is a very reflective journey. So I would invite you, whatever you heard us saying, don't take it on face value. Slip into that reflective space, write down, do a bit of journaling, and go by what your heart says. Right? It's a fascinating journey. That's what makes leadership fascinating. Thank you for joining again. Happy leading.